so boring. How the heck did you even do that? Whatever. I'm just gonna talk about Mario Kart 8. Which one? Both. But how are you going to do the Wii U one? Didn't it die trying to save you? Oh yeah. Huh? But how? Okay. There were two versions of Mario Kart 8. I'm actually going to play a little game. I'll put footage of both games around this video and you have to guess what version it is. Wait, now that I think about it, there are many ways to easily tell which version it is. Anyways, the Wii U version came out in the middle of the Wii U's life, in May 2014. It had DLC with 2 waves coming out in November 2014 and April 2015 respectively. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure the entire reason I wanted a Wii U was for this game. I guess that's pretty much the same reason why people bought the Switch. That is true. Speaking of the Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was the definitive version of this game, adding more characters, a better battle mode, and including all the DLC from the Wii U version. It came out April 2017, and is the Switch's most sold game to date. Interesting to see that it wasn't a release title. I guess the success of this game is what made Mario Kart World a launch title for the Switch too. This game also ended up getting DLC rather late into the game's lifespan, but it's probably because of how successful the game ended up being. There were a total of 6 waves which started in March 2022 and ended in November 2023. To think that it's almost been 2 years since the last wave came out. How time flies. I've skipped a few Mario Kart titles, so I haven't gone over many features that were added in those games. However, this game adds pretty much all of them. Starting with the driving, this game always felt the heaviest to me. I don't really know how to explain it, but in the past games, moving felt somewhat more fluid and freer than this game. I don't necessarily like it, but after 11 years with this game, it's safe to assume that I got used to it. Drifting isn't as broken as Mario Kart DS. Bikes feel pretty balanced to use compared to Mario Kart Wii, and gliding is a bit different from Mario Kart 7. The new mechanic that was added in this game was anti-gravity. It was a big deal in this game, with almost every base game map having some sort of section including it. Even the flattest places somehow added it. I'm not really sure if anti-gravity affects the speed of a racer, but when you bump into each other or a spin boost pillar, you can get a spin boost which makes you go faster for a bit. Typically, these sections would have you go on a wall, and sometimes you'd be upside down. But in general, apart from a cool aesthetic, this feature wasn't anything too game changing. Underwater sections do come back in this game from Mario Kart 7, and it works pretty much the same way as well. You would be a lot floatier underwater, and it would feel a bit slower than on land. But again, this doesn't really change up the gameplay too much apart from making more dynamic looking maps. Now, items are actually a bit underwhelming. Depending on which version of the game you're playing, there would be different items included. Well, I say that, but the Wii U version just didn't have the boo. There are a lot of returning items with the mushrooms, the shells, the bananas, the coins from Super Mario Kart, the fire flower from Mario Kart 7, the star, the blooper, the bomb, the lightning, the bullet bill, and the boo only in Deluxe, all coming back. But for the new items, you have the super horn which can destroy spiny shells, or what people commonly call the blue shell, the boomerang flower which you can use 3 times to throw a boomerang, the piranha plant which chomps on whatever is in your way and also giving you a speed boost with every bite, and the crazy 8 which is a bigger version of the lucky 7 item from Mario Kart 7, only adding coins to the mix. The super horn being added in this game is already about to be a staple Mario Kart item from here on, because for the first time ever, there's an official way to dodge blue shells without harming yourself or using a mushroom, or of course the items that give you invincibility, which is a really rare case for that to even happen. Does it make the game somewhat easier? In a way, yeah. But I honestly welcome this item because you don't have to have some crazy skill gap to be able to dodge blue shells now. But of course that answer will vary from person to person. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did add one more extra item, and it's a battle mode exclusive item, being the feather. For the first time since Super Mario Kart, this item makes a return. However, it being only available in battle mode is a bit unfortunate. The item just allows you to dodge stuff by doing a high jump. It can also allow you to steal other people's balloons, coins, or shines depending on the mode. I do miss the fake item box, but since Mario Kart 7, they removed it. It doesn't seem to be coming back in Mario Kart World either, so it's safe to assume that Nintendo wants to move on from it. How sad. This game really does have a lot in common with Mario Kart 7. This is the second game and seemingly last to make you choose a combination of kart parts before racing. At first, in Mario Kart 7, I thought that was a cool mechanic. Then when this game came out, I was like, again? But now, I'm kind of going to miss this feature. But at the same time, when everyone is just using one kart combination, it makes all the other parts seem futile, making there no real reason to actually have a feature like this. Before the big overhaul during the booster course days of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the way the stats would be measured were a lot more simple, in a way. Every character has a weight class with there being light, medium, and heavyweight. Then you would choose the kart combination with all combos having some sort of stat. They're both dependent on character and vehicle parts. There are some hidden stats that the game doesn't show, which is kind of weird, but only the dedicated would actually want to know. In base Mario Kart 8, you do actually have to unlock characters, but in both versions, you have to collect coins in order to unlock kart parts. The total amount of coins you had by the end of the race in any mode will be counted towards your total number of coins. So make sure to get 10 coins in every race. Speaking of coins, they actually are crucial for if you want to have some stat boosts. Well, it doesn't boost every stat, just the max speed you can get. But that really does it for everything you need to know about this game. Now before I move on to the next segment, I just want to go over the racing in this game. This game has such cool maps. That's talking about both new and old. The new tracks take you to some cool places like an airport, a rave, Candyland, and so on. They all look so fun to be at. These tracks aren't just simply tracks. They're more like places you would want to visit if you didn't have to race. Of course, they do have anti-gravity sections whenever they can, and in fact, I'm pretty sure the new tracks mostly focus on that aspect. As for the retro tracks, they sure do look wider. Well, that's not all. They're completely revamped and look far more interesting to look at over any variation from the past. So many new details added in such simple tracks to make it look so much more interesting. It's awesome. But at the same time, it does kind of lose the charm that the old games did with the retro tracks. This game goes back to having a 12 racer placement system. That was introduced in Mario Kart Wii, but then it went back to 8 places in Mario Kart 7 because of the limitations. But obviously, this game doesn't have those limitations, so it can go back to 12 places. Although not as chaotic as Mario Kart Wii, it still is fun to have so many racers against you. The maps are a lot wider compared to Mario Kart Wii, making it feel a lot more spacious. I'd say the overall difficulty is not that hard compared to the past games. I swear, it feels as if newer games tend to be a lot easier. I wonder why. Mario Kart 8's music is a huge improvement over Mario Kart 7. For the first time in Mario Kart history, there are live performed songs which give it such a unique sound to any music track from the previous Mario Kart games. It sounds like there are actual instruments rather than some compression being done. This is also the first Mario Kart to remix the retro track music instead of somewhat making it more enhanced. Sure, Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Super Circuit did end up also remixing the old tracks, but they had to so it can sound natural in the console they're in. But these are actual reimaginations of these tracks. Not all songs are live performed, but they are still pretty good. If I had to choose my favorite song, I would say it has to go to Super Bell Subway. The fact that there are 2 versions of the song depending on where you are in the map is cool, and it just sounds great overall. For my retro pick, I'm going to have to go with Moonview Highway. I never said anything about choosing from the booster courses. I'm already a fan of Moonview Highway's song, but this remix is really great. Although there are some parts I prefer from the Wii version, that doesn't take away from the fact that the song is amazing. Overall, a pretty great soundtrack for a Mario Kart game. Now I want to go over the differences between the 2 versions. Starting with the Wii U version, going back to it feels so weird. The game feels so much much more naked, if that makes sense. The smaller character roster, because of the booster course, a smaller track list, a completely bare and bones battle mode, the game is just somewhat lacking. However, I wouldn't count it out yet. It has some tech that I prefer over Deluxe with the fire hopping. I always like tech like that in Mario Kart games. This game started with a lot fewer things before the 2 DLC packs it received. DLC 1 is the Legend of Zelda X Mario Kart 8 pack. This added 3 new characters and 2 new cups, being the Egg Cup and the Triforce Cup. This also added a handful of new kart parts. DLC 2 on the other hand was the Animal Crossing X Mario Kart 8 pack. This pretty much added the same thing as the last pack with 3 new characters, the Crossing Cup and Bell Cup, and another handful of kart parts. If you got both DLCs, you can choose Yoshi or Shy Guy's colors. Although not part of the DLC, this was around when they added 200cc. Believe it or not, it was not in the base game, but it was added as a free update. This was also around the time they started adding Mercedes carts to the game. I don't really know why, but the Wii U sure did collab with some strange things. This game's battle mode is a lot more lacking than any Mario Karts. Before this game, Mario Kart 7 and the games before had solid battle modes, but this game only has Balloon Battle, and the stages offered are just remade versions of the tracks for this mode. Talk about a downgrade. The game is pretty fine for the most part, and I'll be honest, it's hard to remember what it was like before this game. Bear in mind, we now only had Mario Kart 8 for the last 11 years. Now Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is what started the Switch's lineup and is the console's most sold game. Although not being available on day one, many people bought a Switch because of this game, and Breath of the Wild. But regardless, although it was just a re-release of Mario Kart 8, the game felt different. For one, this game added even more characters to the roster and the DLC characters are now in the base roster. But two, you can now hold 2 items at a time. In the older Mario Kart games, you could do that, but only for items that you can hold behind you. For some reason, the Wii U version got rid of that feature and made it so you can only hold 1. But the backlash towards that was definitely heard because this was Nintendo's solution to holding 2 items at once. It looks like this will be a staple thing from now on because Tour and Mario Kart World have this. Now the fire hopping tech was removed in this game, but the thing that was added was a purple spark for drift. This makes your drift boost a lot longer, but it isn't going to be easy to execute in every stage. As for the carts and tracks, everything from the DLC was available. There were no new carts at all during the entire run of this game, but the booster course pack added 48 new tracks and 8 new characters. It was practically a whole new game. However, the tracks that were released looked a bit bland compared to the base game. You can clearly tell whether the track was part of the DLC or base game. No one really mentioned this, but the first few waves of this DLC didn't utilize this game's biggest feature, anti-gravity. I find that a bit strange, but they ended up adding half pipes, which is pretty cool. The battle mode in this game is much better than before, with not only adding better stages, but a whopping 5 different modes you can choose. You've got normal balloon battle, which at this point you should be familiar with. Bob-omb blast, where you're trying to get as many points as you can using bob-ombs. Shine thief, where you're trying to hold a shine sprite for 20 seconds. Coin runners, where you're trying to get the most coins in a limited amount of time. And a new one to this game, Renegade Roundup. This one's a team-based one where you're trying to run away from players that have piranha plants. If the player catches you, you're put in a cage. Your teammates can get you out of it by hitting the switch. So essentially, this is just cops and robbers. They definitely cooked with this battle mode, and it makes you wonder why they didn't even try with the previous version. The stages in this mode is also just really great, adding ones from previous games and new ones that look spectacular. There was also a jukebox added later into this game with the final wave of the booster course, which is odd why it took so long. Also, if you get at least 1 star in every base game cup in 200cc, you get a golden Mario costume for Metal Mario. Overall, this was the definitive way to play Mario Kart 8. There is the online mode in this game, which is pretty okay. Online in Mario Kart existed since Mario Kart DS, believe it or not, and this one is similar to Mario Kart Wii's. I'll say the options you have for this mode are pretty lacking. There's the option to play worldwide, regional, with friends, or play in a tournament. With worldwide and regional, that's pretty much where the rank mode mode is where you're playing to get points. You do actually get matched up with people who are close to you in score, but that isn't necessarily always the case. You have the option to play a normal race or a battle mode. As far as I'm aware, if you do versus race, you will never get 200cc, which kind of sucks because I enjoyed that mode. But basically, you have to choose between 4 options for where to race, and the game randomly selects where you end up racing. If you choose to play with friends, you used to only be able to play with whoever's in your friend list. But sometime during the booster course pass, they finally added the feature to make a lobby. Just know, Deluxe existed since 2017, and it took them until 2022 to add that. Tournament is more like a casual mode in this game where you enter a room that has some sort of topic. If you want to play 200cc with random people, this is where you can do it, and that's pretty much online. So now that begs the question, where would you put it in the tier list? Right, I forgot about that. Since both games have their differences, I'll rank both games separately. I'll be honest with you, I think both games are really good and deserve an S tier. So Mario Kart 8 will be put right between Yoshi's Island and Donkey Kong Country 2, while Mario Kart 8 Deluxe can go above Super Mario Odyssey. Why would I put Deluxe higher? Well, I just said that it's the more definitive version of 8. I did honestly hesitate about whether or not I would put it above Smash, but I'll be real with you, this isn't even close to my favorite Mario Kart game. This game is also a lot more fun with friends and family, so playing solo isn't the most favorable option for me. Guess it goes back to content in games, huh? It kinda feels so strange to see the next game come so soon. I know, right? But it doesn't even matter. I'm too broke to buy a Switch 2, remember? Oh, is that all? What do you mean is that all? Well, I have the perfect solution to that. What? You do? You mean you're finally gonna give me back my money? You could say that. Ever since that time, I've been saving more coins, so maybe this can be enough. I thought you said you're never relying on coins again. Also, is this some kind of sick joke I'm not getting? Joke? If I get the Switch 2, you're not playing on it. Huh?